This week's episode of WA&D Oral Histories is all about a man named Jack Sunderlik, part of the 1960s Stephen Decatur dynasty. In fact, he had a 40-inch vertical leap, 6'1" post. He took guys twice his size to the cleaners. In fact, he put up 62 points in one game at Millikin. He's probably most famous, though, for being a part of the 1960s Stephen Decatur basketball dynasty. And as we learn here, the Runnin Reds weren't just an innovative basketball team, but a rare breath of harmony at a pretty strained time for our country.
That team, the chemistry, we've been together so long. So as sophomores, we went 20-2, and our senior year, we went 33-2. We had quickness, so much quickness and jumping. We out-rebounded everybody. Of course, we were used to playing against, being in that Big 12 conference, we were just used to playing against big guys. That year, our senior year, we had a 28-game winning streak. During that 3-year span, I was on the varsity playing. We went 91-11, I believe. Every game at Stephen Decatur, we'd take 7 to 10 pep buses to an out-of-town game. And we would have more fans there than the home team did. It was unreal. So we got to the state tournament, the same hype. Everybody was so excited. Actually, we had 6 players on the floor every game. Our fans were our number 6 player.
Why was it so different from the national tension in Decatur and at your high school? What was different about your culture?
Well, I think we accepted each other for who we were, no matter if we were white or black. And I remember Bobby Warnsley used to take me to his grandmother's cafe she had after practice. We'd go in there and sit there, and I'd walk Charlie Curry down to Paul's Confectionery, get those big, huge milkshakes they used to have. And, we'd walk home together and just spend time together. It just, I was Jack, Bobby was Bobby. It didn't matter. We were friends. We knew we had to be friends to have a good ball club. And this is the state championship one, and this is the one I got when we got 3rd place.
Wow.
So there's only 10 of those in existence.
That's incredible.
So that's kind of like history there.
Let's go through year by year. So the first year that you made the state tournament when you guys won it all, what were the individual pieces that made that such a special team between you and Ken Barnes? And just, if you could, what were the different characters that were on that team that year?
Oh, yeah. Like Ken Barnes, for example, he was Mr. Finesse. He, great leader and easy talking. And then Bulldog Johnson, he was the enforcer.
The enforcer.
Oh, yes.
I love it.
He was aggressive. He was the rebounder. Prentice Jones was our outside shooter. He was very calm all the time. And we had 2 unbelievable guards, in Jerry Hill and Jim Hallahan. They were the leaders. I don't know if you ever saw the game, but at the last few seconds of the game, Bruce Rackets threw the ball to Jerry Hill, and we went with about 8 or 9 seconds left in the game, and we went down with the ball, and Kenny Barnes got fouled and made one of the free throws. And he missed the second free throw, but Bulldog Johnson tipped it a little bit and ate up some of the time. Cazzie Russell, who was an All-American at Carver, he threw a long shot in, and it was probably about 2 feet short of going in. So it was quite a victory for us.
What do you remember about Cazzie Russell? Because growing up in the Chicago area, that name is legendary. What were your memories of playing against Cazzie Russell?
Oh, I tell you what, Cazzie was a stud out there. But Bulldog Johnson held him to 20-something points, and Bulldog got 20 points and like 10 or 12 rebounds in the game. And that's why he was called Bulldog. And he was I learned so much. I developed my game from watching Kenny Barnes with finesse, playing with finesse and moving and get the ball. And then I picked up the aggressiveness from Bulldog Johnson, how to be the enforcer out there. And so I learned from both of those guys how to play my position.
That's incredible. So then that group of seniors graduates, and you go back to the tournament the next year. What was that? What was that team like, and what made that team different from the previous?
We were very, very young. We had two senior leaderships. That was Hallahan and Hill back again, and the rest of us were very young. We made it to the Elite Eight, and we got beat by Peoria Central, and we were just so young. And
still running though. I mean, because it's not like you guys had 6'10", 6'10", 6'10". I mean, you really just were able to outsmart teams, right, and use your quickness and
jumping ability. Like, for example, I had a 40-inch vertical hop, and for years I told everybody I was 6'2", but I wasn't really. I lied about that. I was only just barely 6'1". I thought 6'2" sounded better than 6'1". But we had a rebounder named Charlie Curry. He could jump. Oh my goodness, he was a jumper. We had so many guys. We had guys sitting on the bench who could have started any other school in our city.
Wow. So you had a 40-inch vertical? You buried the lead there. That's like Vince Carter's or Michael Jordan stuff. That's amazing.
They were even a little better than that.
That's amazing. How did you develop that leaping ability?
Running, Fairview Park, running up the hills and stuff, and just working out bench jumps, just doing things like that all the time.
Wow. I'd love to hear. Well, here, first let's talk about, so that was the second year, you're very young. And then tell me about the third trip to the state tournament. What made that team unique?
That team, the chemistry, we've been together so long. So, as sophomores, we went 20-2. And our senior year, we went 33-2. We had quickness, so much quickness and jumping. We out-rebounded everybody. And unfortunately, the night we played Cobden, we shot 25% from the field. And,
wow. It was just a fluky sort of game, huh?
Yeah, we just couldn't make any baskets.
And they had players that were married, I understand.
Oh, yeah,
they were grown men.
6'6". And, of course, we were used to playing against, being in that Big 12 conference, we were just used to playing against big guys. That year, our senior year, we had a 28-game winning streak. We won the Centralia tournament. We won the city tournament. We won the sectional, the regionals, super sectionals, and then we got third place in the state. During that 3-year span, I was on the varsity playing. We went 91-11, I believe.
All right.
But what was so great about that 64 team was any given game, somebody would be the leading scorer. We just had so many kids who could score, and it was just unbelievable. We would win a lot of our games during our warm-up drills. It was just when you look down at the other end, you see the other team watching you shoot layups, you know you got them beat.
That's amazing. So, you said you did a lot of research, which is amazing, and you had some really cool numbers when we first talked over the phone. Would you mind sharing some of those, just to put it in perspective for younger fans out there? How spectacular.
The people in Decatur, and especially the youth, have no idea what was accomplished by Decatur basketball. For example, we made 23 appearances in the state tournament. 23. We have 10 state tournament trophies somewhere. We have 23 sectional plaques somewhere, 23 regional plaques somewhere, 23 super sectional plaques somewhere. We went to the Elite Eight and quarterfinals several times. We had 15 players that were selected to the all-tournament team. We had 3 players that were leading scorers in the state tournament. And several players were all-staters at Stephen Decatur. And several players went on to play college ball, became All-Americans. So that's just an unbelievable legacy for Stephen Decatur. And nobody knows that.
Yeah, how does that, for those that do know it and do appreciate it, how does that make you feel to say, yeah, I was a Runnin' Red back in the heyday?
Oh, right. I got my Runnin' Reds t-shirt on right here. Very proud. Very proud.
What? Tell me about the atmosphere. Describe Kintner Gym to the generation that never got a chance to see it packed to its brim. What was that like?
Oh, that was unbelievable. Approximately 250 people had reserved seats there. The seats actually had reserved stickers on them. Some of them been set, like Eddie Reynolds, been sitting there for 20 years, had the same seats. So 250 seats reserved already when you went into that gym. And it held 5,000 people, and it was packed every game. It was just the teams coming to play us did not like to play in their gym.
Describe, again, for the younger fans out there, where in town was this building? How would you get in? Was it, what was kind of the logistics involved of these games?
It was where the Civic Center is downtown right now. And we would come in on the back street. I believe that was Jackson Street. And if you were a sophomore, you played a preliminary game, there would be 50, 60 people in line already waiting to get in that gym. They wouldn't let them in until after the sophomores. So, we had to knock at the door to get in. And then later on, they'd let the fans in. And it just, and red and white everywhere. It's just unbelievable. Like I said, our fans were our sixth player out there on the court. It was, oh, wow.
So now I know you're a humble man, that you don't like to toot your own horn, but what you accomplished at basically 6 feet tall is astounding. Just the fact you were able to totally neutralize players that had 6, 7, 8 inches on you. How were you able to do that at 6 feet tall?
Well, I had good footwork. I worked on that all the time. I got the angles on them. I knew when to move to get the ball. And I had players that could get the ball to me. Now, Dave Scholes, he's a legend there at Stephen Decatur at U of I. A couple years ago, I saw him, and first thing he said, "Jack, I want to apologize to you." I said, "For what?" I said, "You owe me an apology?" He says, "Yeah." He said, "In high school, I did not know how to get the ball to you." He says, "I do now, but back then, I didn't know how to get the ball to you." So I thought that was quite a compliment coming from Dave. He was quite a basketball player.
Yeah, tell me about him, because as in terms of just pure achievement, reaching the highest level of the game, he's number one in Decatur history. He's the only player that's played in an NBA game. What made Dave Scholes special to those that don't know about him?
Well, Dave was smart. He understood the game, and him and I worked out a lot together. And just practicing against him made me a better player. And I think me leaning on him or working on him helped him be a better ball player. But he had so much knowledge about the game. He had a good shot. He shot for high percentage, and he played pretty good defense. And he's pretty rugged. He was like 6'6", 6'7". I have elbow bruises on my forehead because when I stand next to him, the elbow's always on my head. So he roughed me up quite a bit, and he wasn't very timid. I remember against Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he scored like 30 points against him in a game when Illinois played UCLA because he went outside and hit those 20-foot jump shots, and Alcindor wouldn't come out after him. And I have to say that was very, very satisfying to see him be able to do that.
Was that, do you remember, was that in the tournament or was that a regular season game? It must have been the tournament, right?
I think it was probably some kind of tournament because I don't think UCLA is usually on their schedule. And he had a 43-point game.
Which is,
Big Ten.
The number one of the historical nuggets that I mentioned first when I described this project is that. Because that's highly significant. That and it wasn't tied for 30 years. Michael Finley, the multiple NBA All-Star, finally tied his record at Wisconsin, and it's Ken Barnes from Decatur. Against Indiana too. It wasn't like it was in a preseason game against the YMCA. I mean, he did it against Indiana. It's amazing.
Yeah. Actually, the reason I contacted you was that. Jim Hallahan, when I told him what Stephen Decatur had been ranked 4th, he said, "You got to call. You got to call Gordon to let him know that we should be number 1." He said, "With all our glories and things and our players and stuff." And I said, "Well, I said I'll get a hold of him to let him know about Stephen Decatur because he's not originally from this area, so
I love it.
So I decided to leave you that message, and
I love it.
I'm happy for you to get back to about it.
So tell me, who I realize that everybody's got their era that they were born in. That's the players that maybe they're most familiar with. If you had to bring 4 guys to a gym to win a game from Stephen Decatur history, who would you bring to that gym?
Oh my goodness, that's a tough question.
You've got to be in it because it's you. You're the captain in this hypothetical situation.
I would say Jerry Hill.
Where did he end up? Where did Hill end up playing college ball?
Oh, he played with me, Millikin. We had 4 guys from Stephen Decatur playing at Millikin at one time.
What was that like?
Oh, that was wonderful. That was wonderful. But anyway, let's see: Jerry Hill, Dave Scholes, myself, and Kenny Barnes.
The fearsome fivesome. That'd be amazing.
Best 5 alive.
Best 5 alive. Yeah. What when you kind of look at what that lineup would be like, or when you mix in the Tyrese Brysons and those, what do you think would be the strength of this lineup, and what would maybe be one of the weaknesses of the Stephen Decatur all-time 5?
I would have to say rebounding, teamwork, and passing. Because I'll tell you what, the shots they take today, we would have been on the bench for taking those shots. And we had teamwork. The ball went around 4 or 5 different hands before somebody ended up taking the shot. And that's the way we were taught how to play. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we were quick.
How did
our big guys beat the other players down the court?
Tell me about the coaching legacy that exists at that school across generations. Who did you learn from as a youngster, and then who kind of sculpted you as you got to high school and beyond?
Hal Pritchard. He was my junior high school coach. I wasn't very good. I didn't pick up a basketball until 7th grade. And he convinced me to come out and play on the team, and I was a sub. And I was a sub in the 8th grade. And when I went to Stephen Decatur, he became the freshman coach at Stephen Decatur. And he was our freshman coach, and he inspired me to stick with it, and he helped me develop to be the ball player I became. And then there's John Snyder, who was a statewide known coach. He once told me, we had a reunion, he told me, he said, "Jack, inch for inch, pound for pound, you were the best." And he kept pushing me, and then Jack Kinney was our coach my junior and senior year.
And then, so John was at Schneider?
New Trier. He went to New Trier.
Yeah, which is, that's where I went to high school.
Oh,
isn't that crazy? Not at the same time, obviously, but yeah, I read that. I was actually talking to my friend Terry Mason, who told me that, and I was like, no kidding, what a small world. But yeah, you talk. I mean, there's just cool. It's pretty great. What were the legends that you heard about Gay Kittner?
Oh, just Gay Kittner. Everything about him. He just he was just a legend there. I mean, his picture was hanging in the gym. The gym was named after him, and it was just. I remember seeing them play in 1960 in the state tournament. Al Risby, Tom Sidney, and those guys, and I thought, oh my gosh. And then I went to high school that next year, and I thought, oh, the gym, look at it. I couldn't believe it. I would, after freshman practices, or before them, I would sneak up in the gym and sit there and watch the varsity play, practice, and things like that, and stick around. And all of us, we would go to our freshman year, we'd go to the YMCA and play ping pong, waiting for our practice. We'd stop at Van Zetti's to get some cream puffs and things, and we just kind of grew up and became chemistry like that. In our sophomore year, we did the same thing. Junior year and senior year, we all decided to cut all our hair off and come out on the floor for a ball game, and we did that together. And it was just fun. Every one of us had nicknames. It was just, the chemistry was just unbelievable.
I think that a lot of times in Decatur we take this for granted, because I think nationally speaking the racial harmony here is very high compared to nationally. And so I know that you kind of grew up in this when, so you're kind of used to it, but does it dawn on you how special it is that you had that kind of chemistry in such a tumultuous time for our country?
Yeah. I can remember going to Centralia tournament. You spend 3 days there, and the coaches go and pick our roommates. So we went on and picked our own roommates. And Bobby Warnsley and I roomed together. And, everybody, picked their own person and took the coach off the hook. He didn't have to pick who we were staying with. So I remember Bobby would wake up about 5 in the morning. I said, "You lay back down, Bobby." He would get up early. I said, "You go back to bed."
What?
But we picked our own friends.
Why was it so different from the national tension in Decatur and at your high school? What was different about your culture?
Well, I think we accepted each other for who we were, no matter if we were white or black. And I remember Bobby Warnsley used to take me to his grandmother's cafe she had after practice. We'd go in there and sit there, and I'd walk Charlie Curry down to Paul's Confectionery, get those big, huge milkshakes they used to have. And, we'd walk home together and just spend time together. It just, I was Jack, Bobby was Bobby. It didn't matter. We were friends. We knew we had to be friends to have a good ball club. And I think that had a lot to do with it. We didn't think about going to state. We expected to go to the state every year. We expected that. And that gave us a common goal. And all the other city schools were, we never lost to a city school. And it was just, we always walked around this target on our back, so we had each other's back because everybody was, we played was definitely out to get us. And everybody we played usually played better than they usually did, especially MacArthur and Eisenhower. When they played against Stephen Decatur, they would give us some games in that city tournament. It was just unbelievable.
Yeah. Who were the best players that you played against in high school and college?
Oh, high school had to be Cazzie Russell.
And how about here locally in Macon County and the Big 12? Who were the best players that you went up against?
They had a big kid at Danville called Muirhead.
Who went to Indiana?
6'8". And then Edgar Dow for Danville was really a good ball player too for Danville. And college, Henry Logan, who went on to play in the ABA before he broke his ankle. And I remember we went down to Indiana Central and they had an All-American. I can't remember. Indiana Central, yeah, I think it was.
North Central?
They were ranked in the state at that time. And this guy that's supposed to be All-American, he was out there at a JV game at halftime, was dunking and showing off for everybody. And I remember he came up to our players and said, "Who's your big scorer on your team?" And they said, "Oh, Sunderlik." And they said, "Well, you better tell him not to come under that basket." I got 43 against him. But he was a good player, and there's just so many different players. Jack Lutz, who played at Carthage, I believe, was a really good ball player. And Calvin Pettit in high school, we played against him. The year they got fourth in the state, during regular season, we beat them by 20 points.
Wow.
We made it to the Elite Eight, and Charlie held him for about 8 points or something. Charlie Curry did. Boy, Charlie was a jumper, I'll tell you.
He might be, in all my research, and granted it wasn't perfect research, but from what I could tell, he seemed like maybe one of the most underrated players in program history, just because he didn't score a whole ton, did he? But he was very valuable.
He had some 20-point games.
Did he? Okay.
But he was a rebounder, though, I'll tell you. And I'll tell you, the best all-time athlete ever at Stephen Decatur, I feel, was Bobby Warnsley.
Tell me about him.
Oh, my goodness. Football player, basketball player. He got his leg hurt probably in the 5th or 6th game of the season, and he was out there, and he still won the city scoring in football. He could jump. He was a quick. He could have played in pro football if he hadn't got his leg hurt. He would have been a defensive back. He would have been tough as nails.
Did he end up, so that ended his career after high school, or did he go on to college?
He went on college and played a little bit.
Uh-huh. Wow.
But he was an athlete and a half.
Last question for you, and I'm sorry to keep pestering you, but what were your favorite places just to go to around town? Because I love hearing about all of the soda shops and clothing stores and restaurants and parks that maybe don't exist now, but that you used to love to go to with your buds.
Okay, Paul's Confectionery for the milkshakes, Elam's root beer stand, the pork tenderloin sandwiches, and the root beer out of sight. And those are probably my two favorite places to go eat.
Were those downtown or east side, or where were those?
They were Paul's Confectionery was downtown.
Where it is now with the chili.
It's off. It's still
Yeah.
It's
Right.
On, I think, what is it, Main or Water Street?
I forget which one. Yeah, no one knows.
And Elam's was on El Dorado. It was down by where the ice company used to be, or I can't remember the street, Cerro Gordo, or I can't remember the street.
Yeah, that sounds. Cerro Gordo's right down there. That's awesome.
Been too long.
You didn't eat a lot of milkshakes though, clearly, because you were in great shape.
Oh yeah, I was a skinny runt though when I first started.
Really?
Oh, my freshman year, I had a terrible shot, and we played basketball 7 days a week. In the summer, we would start out about 9 in the morning. And we wouldn't had to come home for lunch and supper, and we'd stay till dark. But the snow, we took a snow shovel and shoveled off the basketball courts at Lincoln School. And the rim was, I think what helped my shooting, the rim we played at was about 11 feet tall. And that helped develop an arch and stuff.
Wow.
But again, when you're the shortest, and what was funny, when I signed to go to Millikin, the coach told me I was too small to play center in CCIW, and that there was no place for me on the team. So I went on as a walk-on. And
You did?
Yeah.
And then you put up 62 points in a game.
Yeah. That was yeah. But I had two kids who could pass the ball. I had Rich Smith, Jack Moore, Jerry Hill, myself from Stephen Decatur, Mark Huddleston, who played against him, Matt Toon, and those guys knew how to get the ball to me. And every point I scored, somebody got an assist for that. I didn't dribble the ball that much. I couldn't dribble, and I made a living within 10 feet of the basket.
So tell me about that big night, because that's it. I don't care what level, who's passing you the ball. If you hit that 60-point mark, that's special. Tell me about that night. Did you know you were going to go off for 60 points that day?
No, I didn't. We were playing the game. I was shooting pretty well, and at halftime, coach took me out about 4 minutes to go before halftime, and then somebody came in to talk to him, and he wasn't going to start me the second half, and he did. And every time I get the ball, everybody in the stands would holler, "Shoot, shoot!" I thought, why are they doing that? Why are they saying that? And I was passing the ball because I was tired, and shoot, shoot, shoot. And so I got open and shot the ball, and then after the game, I found out, I had set a scoring record. And Jack Moore reminded me last year. He says, "You remember, you owe me thank you, because I was the one who threw you that last pass that broke the record."
Wowee.
But I wasn't really concerned about how many points I scored. I was more concerned about my shooting percentage. I was 26 for 39 that night. Made 26 baskets.
Wow.
And 10 free throws.
Do you think if the 3-point line was around today, do you think you would have maybe tried to step out and hit that, or do you think you'd still be post-oriented?
Well, I hit some 15-footers, but I didn't shoot them very, because I could get open under the basket.
What was your move? Okay,
It's my timing.
You got to share your secret move for young kids out there. What's an old school Jack Sunderlik killer move that they could use? What did you do?
You have to know where the seams are, and guy would be guard me. Sometimes I'd tap him on one side, and he'd look over that way, and I'd go the other way. And my thing was, I didn't play. I played it as soon as I got the ball. I made my move. I didn't wait for a double team. As soon as I got the ball, I already knew what I was going to do by the way the defensive man was playing me, and that was my secret. And I watch guys playing post now. Man, they hold on to the ball too long, and that was my big stick because I had to do those things because I was 6'1", and the guy guarding me was 6'7", 6'8" most of the time.
So would you do like a drop step too, or you just basically turn your shoulder and run?
I could turn either direction to shoot.
Left and right? Would you use both?
A lot. That's why I averaged about 10 free throws a game because I would fake because they knew they could block my shot. So when the guy knows he can block your shot, you got it made. But then of course I surprised him with my. I made on the jump ball. I jumped center on the jump ball, and I got the jump ball most every time because of quickness. And of course, I had a 40-inch vertical hop. You know, I go stand next to 6'8" guy, and he's thinking, "Oh, man, I got this made. I get this ball." You know, I'd beat him to the jump. Sometimes I might jump a little too soon, but you know, I had to do those kinds of things to be very aggressive out there to be able to play that center spot.
Wow.
I seen in college, I only got recruited by Southern Illinois and Kent State because I was only 6'1". And in the pros, then the New York Knicks sent me a letter, came down and watched the game, and they said, "We thought you were 6'7". He says, "You got the footwork and you got the skills to be an outstanding center, but you're only 6'1". I said, "Sorry, but you're a little bit too small to play in the pros at center spot." So
the New York Knicks came to you.
As close as I came.
The New York Knicks came to Millikin to watch you play. That had to feel pretty darn amazing.
I still got the letter framed on the wall that they sent me. And I would love for you to see the scrapbooks sometime.
I know.
Because the history, you wouldn't believe it. I mean, I got pictures of parades going to the state tournament downtown, the kids marching downtown with banners.
Oh, my
things.
gosh.
Yeah, it just, it's history. Those books are history. They can't be replaced without the players I had, the people unselfish throwing me the ball. Because every assist they threw in there, that was 2 points. And they get as much credit as I did.
Well, you're very modest, and that's a great lesson for young kids listening to this at home, because I think we could all, myself included, we could all use more humility, I think, in our society, you know?
Well, one other thing I'd like to share with you,
Please.
In the summertime, we would have a group of kids from Lincoln School, Dan Smallwood, Wayne Smallwood, Tim Meekus, and named other names I can't remember right now. We would go down to like Monroe Park and play against the MacArthur kids, and you know, we take our little gang down there and play in the summer, and play against Dick Funk and some kids from MacArthur, and then I would go down to Mueller Park, which was called Southside Park, there to play, and you know, we'd go to different parks and play basketball all summer long. And if you got beaten a game, you'd have to set off maybe 20, 30 minutes before you could get back on. It was just, that's the way it was, the parks back in those days. I drive by them now, I don't see anybody out in any parks. We didn't have any summer leagues or anything like that, and our camps to go to. You know, we had to develop our own skills on ourselves, and I worked out all the time, ran all the time, and I played basketball till my fingertips was split in the summer, and it was just unbelievable.
Who were your idols growing up in basketball?
Oh, Kenny Barnes. I loved later on. I loved Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, and in high school, I would get to sit and watch Millikin because they rented our gym. After our practices, I would sit in there and watch Millikin play. And we were so confident, players, we would sit there, and nothing against Millikin, but we said, man, we could beat them. I mean, that's how much confidence we had. We probably couldn't have, but we felt we could have. And the Harlem Globetrotters came to town, and we passed out posters for them. We got to go down to the locker room and meet Meadowlark Lemon and Curly Jordan and all those guys. It was just, they were kind of role models for us too.